Okay, everybody, welcome. Here, I'll take you into my office and let's sit a little bit and we'll talk. Yeah, I know right now for you to watch this, you're taking time out of your day, and I'm very appreciative that you're taking your time to listen, to think a little bit, to make a little change in your life. So, in order to get into any type of thought that you want to get into, if you want to stop yourself throughout the day and say, just like right now, you want to watch my video, all you got to do is decide, I want to sit down on the couch, and or I'll be driving. Hopefully you're not watching right now. Yes, I mean you. You just you want to do something, so you gotta just go and take time out of your day, go online and find my video, right? The same thing is if you want to go into your mind and you want to spend time with yourself, get to know yourself a little bit. You have to take the time out, go in and have that conversation. So how do you go in? You don't just take out your phone, go online and find your thoughts. You have to go in with a certain intention. That intention, it varies based on the reason you're going in, of course, right? If you're going in to deal with a certain issue, if you're going in just to enjoy your space alone and see where your mind could take you and the thoughts and the connections your mind does, great, whatever suits you, whatever fits with you, and hopefully you have a nice balance of that in your life. But in order to get into that, you'll need besides for their intention, you'll also need a talking point. Okay, a talking point is a pasuk. It's really anything, any topic, any tiny topic that you want to talk about. Imagine you're going to speak for 20 minutes. So you have the whole concept of what you want to bring out from the beginning to the end, and you have it broken down in little stages. Each one of these stages are different talking points. And on every talking point, you could elaborate for 5 minutes. So after 6 talking points, you get yourself a half an hour speech. So what can we elaborate on in our minds? We could elaborate on anything that we set our mind to. So we just have to find that talking point and allow that to be the beginning of our conversation, the beginning of our speech, or the beginning of our trip. So we could take anything. Let's talk about talking points, right? That's what I'm doing right now. So you could take anything in order to get yourself in. And in order to, and no matter what you go into, you'll be able to find yourself with so many more thoughts that you didn't even know were there before. You're going to start making connections and start seeing things that you didn't really expect to see, or you didn't think that you were that complicated. You wouldn't think that this is real. So, okay, somebody may just jump in here in the video and be like, who are you talking to? So let me tell you something. There are different types of people in this world. You have a person who likes to think, and you have a person who their life is based on just running around, going from place to place. And is it their nature? Is it their nurture? Which sign are they? Are they an Aries? They're probably just running around and having thoughts all day. And if they're a Capricorn, they're probably taking it slow and steady, and somehow they'll be proud that they worked for 50 years on a job when the rest of the world already died around them. It's okay, every person to their own. And but there are a whole bunch of people, especially Yidden, who most of our life is about being in our mind, having kavana, knowing meaning for things as we do them, and spending Shabbos, knowing what our belief is. Just knowing what our belief is requires a lot of thought. All that thought comes from somewhere. And the only way a thought could become real to you is once you create an image of it. Once you understand it, and you could go back to it as if it's a physical place that you have once been to. So if I was once in Paris and I want to see Paris again, I would have to go to Paris, right? It's a real physical thing. So the same thing with my thoughts. If I want to be able to access that thought again, what I have to do is create a clear image of it so I could go back to it at any time. Okay? That's what we do when we learn. People who learn quickly, they may understand the concept. They may understand the ups and downs of the Gemara. but will they remember it? How well is that image etched into their mind? How well is the page that they are learning from so clear in front of them that the things that they're speaking about are just associated with this page? They could just think about Masechtas Makkos, and they think about page 23, Kov Gimel Amud Beis, and they see the little lines on top and the wider lines going down, and maybe a couple of wider lines on the bottom, and not just that, you could see Shmuel Hanavi, you could see Boaz, you could see David HaMelech, you see Moshe Rabbeinu, all on that page. And it's so interesting how once you create it, you put it into your mind, you have it as a physical being, or like a living organism, like a living thought inside of you. So even though you may not be one of those people who thinks a lot, the point of living is to find meaning. We need to have meaning in our life in order to live it. Otherwise, it's just, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Are we just here today and not here tomorrow, and that's all? So why not live the biggest life we want? Like, we can. Or why not? Why do we have to struggle? What's this entire game that we're in? So anytime you ask yourself such questions, anytime you are just with yourself and you're opening a chumash and you see Bereshis bara Elokim, you start wondering, why, what is this all about? And you go into the head, and that's your talking point that leads you in. So of course we have talking points that we don't like to get into. We have situations, conversations that we don't want to talk about. People are going to bring it up at the worst possible time. We won't have the answer. We won't know how to articulate it. We'll get flustered, we'll get all frustrated, and we wouldn't want to be part of that anymore. We'll hate that person instead of hating the thing. So the thing that's bothering you is the reason you currently don't like that other person, because that other person, he just wants to bring something up. He wants to resolve something. But for you, you're not ready to resolve that. You're not ready to take that issue and calm down with it and be okay with it. So it's all these talking points are important to go into with yourself, with a therapist, with a friend. Find somebody to talk to, or even open it to Hillim. Open it to Hillim and just read out of it. Understand the words that you're reading and resonate with them. And allow that thought to continue. And if you have to cry, allow yourself to cry. I'm not going all masculinity, femininity. Just there's a natural response of the body. There's a natural response of letting go, letting out things, and that's just the normal way we live. See, talking about this point, let's take it. I'll just go out. Hopefully, I'll be able to remember to come back in. But when the brain perceives something new, it doesn't know how to handle it. It comes in and it shakes up the body. It's like, I know the reality that this and this happened, something good, something terrible, and then the heart feels it completely. The heart feels the excitement, the joy of the present moment, and there's nothing like being shocked, because that's what we work for all day. We work for it so that when we do get shocked, we should be able to control ourselves, right? The Gemara Masechtas Baba Kama. Don't hold me to it, but I think it's of Lamed Vav Amud Beis 36b, if not 27b. But that's where my head is taking me. The Gemara says, if somebody hit their friend in the ear, and the guy became deaf because of the shock. He didn't become deaf because of the hit, because of the slap, rather because of the shock. The Gemara says, no, this guy scared himself. What does that mean? He should have been prepared. A person has to be prepared for the times of shock. But there are things that are beyond our imagination. See, there are shows that you could see people come up for auditions, and there are two different responses to people. Of course, I'm talking about people who do well. There are a few different responses, but mainly two responses. One of the people coming up on stage, when they get their 4 yeses, or when they get that golden buzzer, they fall to the ground, they start crying, and they simply break down, and that's a level of shock, because they haven't dreamt about this yet. they wanted to win. They really think that they could win, but are they that confident in themselves that they will win? Not really. Did they ever imagine getting to this point of the golden buzzer? No. So they just collapse and they have no words. The brain goes crazy. The heart takes it all in at the moment, and it's only later that you start explaining what just happened. It's later that you get to articulate what happened. And then there are people that get on stage. Oh, I forgot the word of that. The people that go on stage to audition, that they get the golden buzzer or whatever, and they are doing great. They're just standing there. They're so proud because they're confident with what they have, and they've already imagined getting to this point. So what my point is over here is that we create images in our mind, and that image that we create guides us through our life. Okay, if we create an image that we are winners, when we get that 4 yeses, or when we reach that high level, it's not like I've reached it, I made it to the top. Rather, no, I've seen this plateau before, even though I wasn't there yet, because I created this goal for myself. And the same thing with all of our memories that we already live. We have already created tons of images that we know about ourselves. We have tons of images in our life that they guide us, and that's what we expect. We look forward, or we don't look forward, but we already have a certain image, and we actually start working towards that image. Even if it's a negative one, we start believing in it, and we start being pulled towards it. People like to call it names, manifestation, and energy, and connections, and pulling. But the fact is, you could dumb it down to the process of the way the brain works. That once you set your mind to something, you will be led that way. And if you want, you could go to the Gemara and Masechtas Makos, stuff Yud Amud Beis 10b, B'derech she'adam roitze leilech, ba'al melicha noisei. And the way that a person desires to go, that's the direction that he will be led. So it's pretty simple to start forming new images and new goals in ourselves, and set those goals as our guide in order to make the big life. And we could start with anything, and the Torah is the best way to start. Why? Why do I say that? Because those thoughts, those talking points of the Torah, the words Bereshis and the words Me'im Masai, and technically any pasuk in the Torah, and the worldwide Torah, wwt.com, and all of that, you have you have so many thoughts of so many generations, so many different perspectives that have learned the Torah, so many different ways of seeing things, and they could create images in your mind of how things look like. And that's the way we learn. That's the way we learn Torah. That's the way we learn Gemara. And when the world looks at us, they think, what are these people? Yes, we are people that put ourselves into every situation. If you tell us a story, we put ourselves into it, and we feel, are you speaking the truth or are you not speaking the truth? Really, like what are you doing over here? When someone talks to you, it's not just listening to a story, so now I could share my story. No, I want to listen to you so I could really be part of your life, to really be part of your idea. And when someone gives a business idea, it's like I'm there so I could actually come up with good advice to give that other person, and not just say, oh wow, great business, like have a nice day and good luck and don't forget me when you make it. Rather you put yourself into it, and it becomes a lifestyle. And I know some people, it takes longer for them to change. It takes longer for them to mature. That's really the word. They know that they will get there one day. They know that life is not all about the party. Life is about preparing for the ultimate party, right? There's, as the Chovos HaLevavos says this, we don't get schar okay, how does it work? He says we have the choice to do a mitzvah, and we have the resolve within ourselves to want to do that mitzvah and actually go about doing it, having our heart lead us to go and do it. And then there's the actual physical doing of the mitzvah. The physical doing, that's up to Hashem. And if Hashem wants it to happen, it will, and if not, not. And we should pray and daven that we should actually Hashem should actually help us get to the accomplishing this mitzvah. That's what we daven. We also daven, the Chavava says, we also daven that we should stick to our choice wholeheartedly. So if we make a choice today, we still want that choice to be as clear as it is today, tomorrow, and a week from now, and for unforeseen future. It should always be there. It should always be part of us. Then he says we get schar on the choice and the resolve, but on the mitzvah itself, it not necessarily that it will happen or not. The Gemara already says that we do get schar on a mitzvah even though we didn't actually complete it. My point here is that we could create certain images in our mind, and we need the mind to have that proper image, to have that proper meaning in order to create those images. We need to have meaning in our life, and by seeing ourselves as part of a bigger world, by seeing ourselves as part of history, as part of the nation of Hashem, as part of the identity that we seem to be portraying by the way we act, the way we walk, the way we speak, the way the mitzvahs we keep, and the dresses and the yarmulke that we wear. It's all about creating that image so we could have meaning in all these things, so we walk around proudly with it. And you could apply these principles to making money. You could apply these principles to growing in Hashem and growing in His Emunah, in His belief, in His Torah. It's a universal language. This process is built into nature. Everything in nature is in order for you to have an image, in order for you to be able to create an idea. And through the nature, we will learn everything. The Rambam talks about it. The Radak speaks about it. It's all about it. If you want to see, look into Kapitel Perek Tehillim 148, right? Tehillim 148. Halu Hashem min haaretz tanina v'chol tahimas. The Radak speaks, says a very interesting idea that we on earth have to thank Hashem for the fish in the water, not instead of the fish in the water, but for the fish, because the fish can't speak, so we have to speak for them. So why do we have to do that? Why is it our responsibility? Because again, we live in a world that we're surrounded by nature. Nature teaches us things. They are also images. They are talking points that we could get into in order to find Hashem. So no matter if you go into business, no matter if you're trying to deal with relationships, or if you're trying to deal with getting closer to Hashem and fighting your battles, your spiritual battles, it doesn't matter. All you got to do is start, take the time, speak to yourself, get to know Hashem, because ultimately every subject will lead you directly to Hashem. Just go there, become that person, and it will become you. Life will become you. This type of life will be enjoyable to you. You'll take it all in, and with the struggle, because this struggle is better than any struggle. And this is the best. It's the best. All right. Thank you for joining me. Hope you learned something. I'll see you next time. Hey, this is Lemmer. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. If you enjoy my content, please consider checking out my books online on Amazon. I have Who Am I, a beautiful book about hypnotherapy and how to walk through the body and have conversations with yourself to get to know yourself a little better. Then check out my other books. I have the Tehillim Legacy Journal, which is all of Tehillim translated into English according to the interpretation of Rashi, the Radak, and Metzudas David. Beautiful, beautiful poetry all across. Every pasuk gets its own stanza. You'll definitely learn a lot and enjoy it really much. So, yeah, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the coming videos. Thank you.